Okay, here we go. AP number 1 for Storm Cape, where we're going to talk about 6 episodes. First one being Founders Day. Episode 2, Trash Talking. Episode 3, Three-Sided Enterprise. Episode 4, Think of the Children. Episode 5, An Executable Plan, Part 1.
Ooh, what's number 6?
An Executable Plan,
Part
2.
Oh.
The best plans have multiple parts.
I do apologize for making episode 6's title just so predictable. I mean, it's just...
Welcome back, everybody. First AP of the new campaign. So it's been a while since we've done an AP.
Well, we did just do a patron-only after party.
How do we all feel about our new characters?
That is a very good question.
Good question.
Good question. I think Hellcrook is a masterpiece, personally.
What's your favorite thing about Hellcrook?
He doesn't wash his hands.
Ew.
I have regrets, because now that's going to be the ongoing joke about Hellcrook, and he's supposed to be more sophisticated than that, but that's fine.
Apparently he's stinky.
Yeah, I didn't want him to be stinky. It just happened.
I mean, you do work at a stable. I guess it kind of...
Yeah, that's true.
You don't smell the manure anymore, but we do.
Yeah, you gone smell blind to it. That's
Yeah. It's just permanently up the nose. Well, I'm excited about playing a monk, for one. I've never really even thought of playing a monk much prior to this. That's going to be fun. Excited about playing a half-orc. I like doing Hellcrook's voice. Imagining I've got some tusks sticking out of my mouth is fun.
I think it's a good voice. You're doing a good job with that.
Oh, Thank you.
You kind of sound old and gray somehow.
Yeah, I like him. He's fun. I'm excited to see Hellcrook evolve.
Did you model that voice after something, or did you just come up with it on your own? If I recall correctly, you didn't really even get much thought. You rolled right into it, right?
There was...
He stole it. Let's be real.
There was a slight amount of inspiration.
What game was it again?
I honestly can't even remember the name of the game. It was some stupid...
It was essentially a mobile game on a PC, and he was playing...
It's not a mobile game if you're playing it on a computer.
It was a mobile-like game that he would play on his PC.
It was very much a mobile game.
Yeah, and there was like a shaman, right?
He was like a wise shaman. I'm not sure what kind of creature he was. He wasn't an orc, but anyway, he was the inspiration for Hellcrook.
What was his key phrase that you modeled it after?
Heed the call of the wilderness.
So that's how you get into character voice now.
It is,
he
yeah.
Just repeats that.
If I need a bit of a primer for Hellcrook's voice, that's my line. So, Emily.
Yes, Bill.
How are you liking your characters?
Is a challenge. Remembering to, 1, speak as the right character, and 2, the way that Kylia says we. It's Leland's had to edit quite a bit of me repeating what I've said. But I'm very excited to see where it goes. I have plans. Leland and I have talked about things that we want to see happen, and should be cool.
Oh, will we?
Yeah.
Have you ever played with a little genie before?
It's a rather personal question, isn't it?
Oh, okay. With a big genie? I don't know. Is it a size question or what?
You gotta know that someone's manufactured one and called it a genie.
It does ship in a bottle.
And you do rub it.
I've not had a genie as a patron before, no.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I like it. I'm into it.
Part of me thinks of, the genie from Aladdin and Robin Williams, but then Seychelles' voice comes out.
Yeah. And then she's more like Jafar as a genie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's Jafar and Iago are your genies. And Opal's like, oh, Seychelles. You're so cute.
I do like Opal and Kylia's Opal and Seisha Doll's little back and forth that started to develop. It's just very subtle, but it's quick little snipes back and forth.
Yeah, it's like a threesome. So
your body is moving one way. It's in the fight?
Yes.
Who's really in control? That's the question.
That is the question, isn't it?
I was so focused on like what I was going to do next. I didn't even catch that until I listened back to Seisha Dal taking over the body and like you leaving the fight.
Do you think of that ahead of time, or do you come up with it in the moment type thing? Like, will it just be easier and more... Like, how's that been?
That actually I came up with while I was waiting for my turn. And I was going to do it a little earlier, but then Leland threw axe at me and had to rethink things a little bit. But then, yeah.
You had ample time to get away from Axe.
Axe throws himself.
Had a little bit of a Ralphie problem I was trying to deal with.
Friggin' Ralphie.
I did not really understand why you latched on to stopping Ralphie as like hard as you did. Like I was like, oh, okay, I guess sure you knock him out, but I was like, why is she even bothering with Ralphie? Ralphie's not the problem right now.
Well, it's a betrayal. He betrayed us. And he was supposed to be on our side as one of the orphans.
For the children.
Via Kylia's view, you mean?
Right. Yeah.
But like Kylia had a conversation with Sasha, and Sasha had told Kylia at Borlo's, yeah, there are some kids that want to join up and are into joining up.
Yeah, we sort of knew that was happening.
But I never thought it would be Ralphie.
Pimple face.
I don't know, it's Kylia felt betrayed.
I sort of knew that's what was going down when Rumpke went up and there was the kid there and they got the tattoo for initiation. I sort of knew things were not going to go as well as I had planned, but when Brick just sort of went, hey, let's just go ahead and do this, and he didn't, lead in with, I know you're a lying sack of shit, I thought maybe there might be some hope here.
Well, one of them said searching for he doesn't have a bomb on him. So there.
That was after things went to hell, though.
Yeah, that was after Rumpke punched Chip.
I think that's the biggest regret Rumpke had, is punching Chip.
Yeah, good job, Rumpke. let's talk about your
not my fault.
flashbacks. Yeah, so let's talk about Rumpke for a quick second. What's this guy and flashbacks, and where'd you get that idea? And
yeah, I think that's going to unfold over time. I sort of, I liked, and it didn't really come from this until I already sort of had the idea, but I liked that movie Memento, where the guy wakes up, if you've ever seen it, and he has a short-term memory loss, so he tattoos himself, and he, warns himself or writes notes, and the movie sort of goes backwards, so you sort of figure out from his perspective. So I sort of like the idea of having a character who doesn't really know who he is or where he came from, kind of thing, and then have pieces of that unfold throughout the story. And the cool thing is, I don't really know what's going to happen, and sort of have a baseline idea of what where I think I want it to go, but that's what makes it cool. And with this mechanic that we have where things can go wrong very quickly, it adds another layer of fun to the game for me, because I really enjoy getting in bad situations, trying to figure out how to get out of them. So,
do you actually know his past, or is that something you've kept from yourself to play him?
So I have when I say this, brief backstory, which
so
you guys
12 pages instead of 20.
May not buy into
At
that.
least 5 pages, single space. Okay.
But let me say it. I wrote a thing, and then I gave it a bunch of bullet points, and then Leland and I talked, and all of this is flexible. So it's just basically a baseline and a direction. And then as we go through, based on how the story goes and things change, it could be completely different. It was with Shaft. I mean, Shaft sort of had different things in his background, and they twisted and turned in ways that I didn't know. So the baseline's there, and I'm excited to see, because he's got a couple things going on. He's already got a bad reputation with his new life, and he's trying to repair that, in the process trying to figure out what's going on with him.
Yeah, struggle's the wrong word, but the tightrope walk with John's character is figuring out how much I should give to John as a player versus holding back, the other bits that I don't share with him. So he still has the agency for crafting where his own character came from, but also to make it fun and interesting and surprising for you as a player too, right, John? And we've had a number of conversations of basically I've like asked you like, how much do you really want to know? And you're like, what I gave you is what I want to know essentially, right? So what you gave me is like it's always great. All your backstory stuff's always great. And now I will just take what you gave me and maybe spin the context of what you gave me a little, right? And just kind of twist it ever so slightly on its axis to make it different than what you were expecting, but still, still honoring what your original intentions for your character.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing of presenting things to the listener as we go too, so they're learning it as I'm learning it, is going to be, you're not going to get all the information to know how those pieces fit together until much later on, more than likely. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it all pans out. It's going to be a fun guy, and I like his accent.
Yeah, his accent's fun.
What are you modeling that after?
Just some Boston type accent. I figured since he was when he came into the town, he didn't really know how the language. He didn't know how to read and write, basically. So they threw him in. He worked with the stonemasons. So I sort of thought, okay, the stonemasons are these, rough guys that are going to be, out pounding stone and stuff. They're going to cuss, tell him stories, and that's where he's going to basically learn how to talk. So, one of the things that'll be interesting is, when you relearn how to do all that, and then you find out as you go along maybe a little bit more about who you were before. I'm sure Rumpke's former person he was did not talk like a stonemason, right? So trying to figure out where those things lie. Are you your new guy, or are you the old guy? That kind of thing. So it might be a mix. So voices, Opal.
Yeah.
Pretty unique voice. You going to be able to keep that up for the next 5
I think
years?
so. I think it's kind of morphed.
Is it hard on your voice to do, Opal?
No, it's changed a little bit.
So, I think at first it was really in the back of my throat. And now it's just, a little bit just, high.
It's okay.
It's just changed a little bit.
The first voice I had was kind of imitating the chick from the Big Bang Theory.
Bernadette?
Oh, yeah.
Bernadette, Howard's girlfriend, yeah.
I was trying to talk like Bernadette.
It kind of is. It's still a little bit my version, I guess. I just didn't want it to be annoying. And so far, no complaints.
Haven't had any 1-star reviews so far, so we're good.
That we know of.
I've asked a few picky listeners. They said it's all right.
At least it's very clear this campaign that when we're talking in our own voice versus our character's voice, for sure.
Because Kylie is so happy, and, Rumpke's, yeah.
You didn't like Falzarin's voice?
Oh, there were a few times, for sure, when we thought you were talking as Falzarin. It probably got edited out, but...
You can't appreciate the art. That's not my problem.
Opal Toggle Sprocket's been in the works since 2023, at least, because when we had Diamond Head, I made her back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played with her
that.
once on Diamond Head. I don't know that she spoke the same, but she was an artificer and everything. And then I was talking about Opal to people when we were at Origins 2023. I remember being like, yeah, I think my next character, we hadn't wrapped up the campaign, kept saying it was close type thing, and then a year later, it's actually happening.
So speaking of voices, my favorite voice so far this campaign has got to be Granny Nanny. So Leland, is that modeled after somebody?
No one specific.
She's gonna end up being the BBEG, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh, Isabella was. We can't trust anyone.
Granny Nanny is very, very wholesome. She would never wish any harm upon anybody. She simply wants to take care of the children.
Yeah. Take care of, in quotes.
So far, all your characters are meshing fairly well as a party, at least, right?
It's
So
first time
far.
for everything.
That was the plan.
It was the plan. I think we're starting to see some things happen. Pretty much something has come up really with 3 of the 4 of you. Everybody really but Opal, I would think, by this point, about something that unique to them that they may or may not share with the rest of the party, right? we haven't had any off mic segments. So like we've all heard everything as players, but like now Kylia with this development of Seychelles' temporary control in this fight or flight scenario, right? And Seychelles chose the flight option.
Well, we were down to 4 hit points, so
Yeah, you could have took one more hit. So and then we have Rumpke's flashbacks, obviously, that we know he is shared with Hellcruck, and then now Hellcruck has this interaction he had with Brick, this this higher up in the Trinity gang who's admitted to offing his mentor.
Absolute prick. Brick.
So I think the next few episodes will really show how cohesive the party is as far as trust amongst them. I think there's a bit of information that can or cannot be shared, I think, between the 4 of you.
Well, are you meaning trust by? I mean, nobody tells everybody everything.
Sure, but in those 3 instances, every one of those things has an impact on the rest of the people that you're with. And in Aspara, those types of things did not get fully shared with the party more often than not, right?
Right. So I guess that brings up the downtime conversation, which is part of this new campaign, and sort of the idea of what would or wouldn't get shared in that time frame. So if we don't specifically say something that we're sharing in the downtime, it doesn't happen.
I think that's probably the safest thing to go off of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're still sort of getting our feet under ourselves with that downtime thing, because I think there would be things where Rumpke and Hellcruck would get together and sort of have conversations. Hellcruck is being paid to help Rumpke, so I'd assume they'd have sessions, I guess.
Is Hellcruck actually getting paid?
I believe she paid him in my backstory.
No, I don't think so.
I thought so. Okay, well then maybe we're not. It all depends on how Hellcruck feels about doing a favor, I guess.
I think Hellcruck's happy to try and help a friend out on his journey to inner peace.
We do both like to drink, so I would assume we would probably hook up from time to time and have a beer. So maybe we need to do a little more talking about what we would be sharing with each other.
Yeah, and I mean we've had the one bout of downtime, which was about 3 days, and we've had the taste of like how we're going to handle it as far as what gets spoken on mic about it, right? I mean, the purpose of the downtime is just things are happening in between the episodes that if we were to fully recap what we're doing or like RP through fully what we're doing, what's the point of having the downtime? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
But that's not to say like instances like that where it's in the span of a week, maybe for downtime, some point, yeah, we have a Hellcruck and Rumpke conversation there and they're RPing. Like there's obviously we want those because that's what we enjoyed doing, right? And having for the show. So the downtime, kind of glancing over downtime, doesn't abolish those types of things. I think it's meant more to streamline those types of things. And if it's as simple as Rumpke would share this with everybody, then it's just something that is shared with everybody. You know what I mean? Like in that instance, we can just streamline it and now, okay, great. Everybody has this knowledge. Everybody is aware that Rumpke is having these visions or memories or whatever they are. And we don't necessarily need to RP through that revelation or that conversation. But I think in those instances, that should be something that we as a group can decide if we want to streamline it versus RP it out. One of you may feel like your character would have something very specific and very important to express to another character, depending on what they bring up. So I think we're going to be continuously flying by the seat of our pants as far as how we're handling downtime, right? Like, because there's important things that are happening during the downtime, and there are important things that are obviously happening in the city, like as how we always run the campaigns, but also for your characters specifically, that important stuff shouldn't be glossed over or forgotten because of the downtime.
Yeah, speaking of things happening and whatnot, I'm curious to see how things carry on moving forward if we continue to see the issue we're not killing so far. We haven't killed anyone. We've only just gotten into fights, knocked them out, yada yada, which is good in one way, because if you're in a city and all of these, people know these people, if they get killed, then it's like, well, who killed them? Versus in Asparo where
We were murder hobos.
we
just left bodies in our wake.
And if we never went back to that place, no big deal.
But in reality, Aspara was only like 2 months, so we never really caught up with the ramifications.
Yeah, true.
Well, then a volcano went off, and there's
Yeah, there's too much going on.
It
We had to
buried all
save
the
the world.
evidence.
yeah.
So it's kind of a sticky situation, right? Because either way, whenever we get into combat, if we kill people, that could really come back to be a problem for us. Or if we don't,
That could really come back to be a problem for us.
go tell their friends.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But thankfully, nobody knows our names or any major businesses that some of us work for, so we should be good.
Yeah, we're anonymous. For sure.
I don't stand out in a crowd or anything.
Nobody's heard of Toggles and Sprockets.
What is Opal's reasoning for? I mean, is there something other than just promoting her parents' shop and trying to enhance her parents' livelihood and by extension her family's livelihood, like at every chance she gets, or is there like something else about it? Because like Opal wants to be like her aunt Amethyst, right? Like she wants to be this cool adventurer. I mean, your aunt is like an archaeologist, basically, right? And Opal has aspirations of being something similar. So does that play into some like the kind of almost like this infamy that she's trying to spread about herself, or starting to, as she's pursuing these exploits around the city
Like, you're asking specifically why I tell people about the shop?
at every possible chance that Opal has, it seems like.
You're a salesman at heart.
Maybe it's an Alana bad habit of like, well, Mia Brightwood,
Maybe it is kind of similar to that a little
It
bit.
might be like a bad habit. I think I'm just really proud of my family and really like loyal to my family. It's not, I don't know. I feel like we work really hard and we provide really good products or materials or what have you. And
Poisons.
Not poisons
the
yet.
elixirs and poisons are my doing.
Soon
And without
gunpowder.
the consent or knowledge of my parents. So, I don't know. I think I'm like trying to suck up to my parents maybe because I think I also know they're going to hear some bad things maybe or trouble I've gotten into.
Like you sort of pocketing some money from time to time?
No. It's more like if I get them some customers, some business, or some fame in the city, maybe they'll look over the fact that I'm branching out on my own and doing something they're not necessarily a fan of. They don't know alchemy, and I like chose to take that as my own path, so I don't know. The pink hair is because of my aunt, but the pink hair could become a problem, I'm realizing very quickly. In a city-based campaign. So, we'll see. We'll see if the pink hair stays.
Pink hair is very popular in Stormcape, so
I don't know about that.
that's fine.
Well, if Opal continues to gain this infamy, it might become a trend. She might start something as people start to, Opal Toggle Sprocket, I want to emulate Opal Toggle Sprocket.
Oh.
Business idea. I'm the only one that knows how to create the dye that works like
Oh,
this.
there you go.
So, pay up.
That is funny. That's very funny.
I definitely took advantage of the know a guy. I think we all have a little bit. The sort of house rule of know a guy, which was a question posed to us as well for the after party.
Yeah, basically asking, like, where did that house rule come from? That and the reputation system. I think there was something in a spar that John had suggested. I think at the time, John, you'd seen it on like a Bob the World Builder video or something. He was talking about it.
Before that, I think there was something I read a while back about different house rules and things you could do to keep the story moving along. If you were sort of caught in a corner, you could always use hey, I know a guy.
Yeah, like my brother's got leather armor. I'm going to steal it, put it on for this fight.
Borrow. Sorry,
No.
borrow. Or however
Yeah,
Bill said it.
borrow the armor. And you know a guy and Leland came up with someone and then
It's probably a very old house rule from years past. Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea.
It certainly wasn't anything we revolutionized, but I think it is a cool rule, and it works very well in a city campaign. Really, like I think it's going to shine
There's
in
a lot
the
of people.
city, right?
Yeah.
I think players could abuse it for sure, but as long as you have a group that's all interested in having a fun game that's not completely broken, and you know what I mean, like it's a rule that helps keep things moving, and you know things can grind to a halt when you're like, well, what do we do now? We don't have any options.
Well, it's reasonable, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
somebody would know somebody if you live in a city. I know a guy that can fix your car. You know, it happens all the time.
Right. Totally. And I guess in the fantasy setting, it's more like, well, yeah, I know someone that could get us an explosive device, I guess. No questions asked.
Well,
No
that
questions.
doesn't have to be fantasy. I know guys.
You as players, like, using that rule, just also opens up doors for me too. I mean, obviously, when John uses saying, you know, he kind of knew this person that used to be in the Trinity gang, and it ended up him meeting with Gilgroy, who, you know, the bartender of the Iron Hammer Tavern. Say that 3 times fast. You know, and getting like this connection to this. Obviously, this is somebody that Rumpke knows from their backstory, etc. His time in the Masons Assembly, but also, for the listener that may not have quite picked up on it, Gilgroy is the Goliath from Hellcrux backstory in prison, where Eleanor intervenes, you know, Hellcrux lunch getting interrupted by this Goliath. And Gilgroy kind of hinted a bit about his past, right? About getting out. He pays dues basically pays off the Trinity to stay out, and essentially pays them to leave him alone, really, is the only way to get out of this gang, right? It allows me to tie more things together too, honestly. Like, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, with like Big Bob, now the party kind of knows, like, they have an in potentially into the Stoneworks if they need it. It's like it's something else in your back pocket. Big Bob said, look, I can show you how I got in.
Might be more dynamite.
There's a cache of this blasting powder there that they use, right? I can show you if you want me to, kind of thing. You gotta pay for it. I mean, you paid off Big Bob like a few silver. He's a cheap date. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He is a nervous fellow, though, dealing with all that gunpowder.
I say, or is the economy of Stormcape more appropriate? Leland?
Oh, okay.
1 gold piece a night
Wow.
for a hotel. At least we don't have to keep paying for inns and hotels all the time.
That's true. Yeah, you'll have your own house to go to. That saves you a ton of money.
Yeah,
Huge.
It
so
saves
many
you a
gold
literal
pieces.
king's ransom.
Yeah, nobody helped pitch in to pay for that either, I might add.
I spent all my money on you guys drinking.
Very generous of you, Hellcrock.
Do we want to identify any other house rules while we're sort of slightly on the topic still?
Yeah, actually, that was one thing on my list.
Just to sort of like throw them out there for the listener. I know we changed a few things like the potion stuff and actually, you know.
Yeah. And we do have a list of our house rules on our World Anvil page, and pending on the website, or will be, or soon to be, or is up there on the website, but that's the plan. There's a number of them. I mean, we're sticking with Cleave. A few of them we were using in Aspire. We're sticking with Cleave, which you saw Rumpke do on Tricks and Buggle, or whoever the hell Rumpke, like, one punched 2 dudes, right?
1 punch, 2 guys.
The main changes I think we may have touched on in the
2
episodes
guys,
themselves.
1 punch.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
The main changes are like really the exhaustion. We're using like 1D&D's exhaustion system is, I think, going to be a pretty significant change. You can gain up to 10 levels of exhaustion. If you gain the 11th, I think is when you would die. But every level of exhaustion simply imposes a -1 penalty to your D20 rolls per level of exhaustion you have. So, 1 or 2 levels isn't that bad. You'll take a -2 penalty to your attack rolls and ability checks and saving throws. And like with some of the magic items, if you decide not to sell them off, you'll get a chance to play with the exhaustion and the bloodied condition in which we're using, right? So I just wanted more things that'll trigger with being bloodied rather than it just being a useless status, because otherwise what's the point, right? And I toyed with allowing you all to pick up like a feat that would trigger when you're bloodied, but I figured the magic items would be cooler because one, you could have more than one of them, right? You could attune to more than one of these magic items that trigger when you're bloodied, which would obviously make you'd have a way higher benefit out of becoming bloodied, right? If you had more than one of these items that trigger off of it and kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be an interesting house rule. We're still doing the full and roll crits, and then advantage on the next attack on somebody that critically fails, so it's not as punishing as we had in the early chapters of Asbara for, you know, hitting your ally and that kind of stuff. And potions can be drank with a bonus action, still an action to administer it to, like if you were going to give it to somebody who's downed. We have this loose faction reputation system, which, you know, again, may be iterated upon and changed and tweaked as we go. But basically, you individually will have reputation with the guilds and stuff and the gangs in the city. And if you're dealing with that specific guild, if you're in good standing, obviously you're going to get boons and there's going to be boons and banes for depending on what your rep is. Of course, the No-Eye guy, downtime activities, which depending on if you have the gold for, like you're going to be able to, if like Opal wanting to learn how to craft poisons, like that's downtime stuff, right? Like she just needs to put time and a bit of money, probably less money because she has access to many ingredients as it is, right? But mostly time to basically learn and become proficient with the poisoner's kit and that kind of stuff. And then the other main thing is kind of using the minion rules out of MCDM's Fleeing Mortals monster book, which is kind of a tweak on, you know, minions were a 4th edition thing. They're basically creatures that had a single hit point. If they take any amount of damage, they'll just go down. So you can just swarm your players with, you know, I think the point of it is to make things feel more epic with the odds against you, but you know, especially when you're higher levels, can still mow through hordes of enemies, right? And feel like a superhero essentially, which is what you know, really what fantasy characters are. They're a little different in MCDM. Their take on it is more like, so a minion will still have a hit point total. They still will go down if they take a point of damage or fail a saving throw. But any other damage, like falling damage, or if they pass a saving throw, if they take fewer hit points than their hit point total, they will still live, basically. So like they're a little more robust. And in the event of like Rumkey's, it was a cleave, and then they also have in MCDM's Flea Mortals like an overkill thing. Basically, your punch exceeded the combined hit point total of both of the members of the Trinity that you clocked, basically, right? So it's like cleaving and this overkill mechanic. So I think that's going to make combats more dynamic, I think. And also, now that we're all aware that we're employing this minion rule, in the fights, of course, you won't immediately know who is and who isn't a minion just by looking at them, right? Or what, you know.
They won't have overalls and they're not
yellow. Yeah, holding bananas.
No, they won't be holding bananas. Won't have any goggles. No, unfortunately not. No copyright infringement here.
They don't open their mouths and it's just gibberish.
Maybe Granny Nanny's a minion then in that case. So you know, it's a whole list, and I think as we continue, like it'll probably grow. You know, like we'll probably adopt more things that we as a group like and want to mechanically have. But there are also just things that will come up that, like in any campaign, that's just made a spur of the moment thing. Like, I mean, I'm not going to list like the mechanics of Rumpke's thing, right? Rumpke's flashbacks or visions, just because like we don't need to, right? That's just something that's happening with your specific character. So there isn't really I don't think a full, unless people want to see that. I guess we can put that up there, but there's lots of stuff that won't make that official list. But I'm sure more will get added to it.
Oh, another thing to bring up, our stats are being kept track of. Campaign 2, just like Campaign 1 from Bill, Ben, and Marlena Nye. They are giving me all the data. They've already got it updated. It's on the website. So you guys can see how we haven't killed anybody yet. We're taking a lot of damage.
We have bar graphs now.
Yeah, not World Anvil, Incorrigible Party website. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I was like, I can't believe that there's already episode 1 through 5. So we're recording this before episode 6 is actually released publicly, obviously. But
Yeah, because it shows that we've taken no damage and stuff.
yeah. Well, that definitely changes in episode 6, as everyone listening
Yeah,
to
it
this is
does.
well aware of. But I guess we're kind of also touching on the first question that Bill Ben had, was like, has the second campaign been very different than the first, or does it more feel like just playing another D&D story kind of thing? And yeah, as we talk about it more, like, I think the differences that we're all feeling are becoming more apparent, right? We have this downtime aspect to it that I think changes a lot of things. Like, obviously there's nothing stopping your characters from leaving the city and going somewhere else, but it doesn't really make sense for your characters to do so, right?
There's no need right now.
Right.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
Plenty to deal with at home.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, our prep and the second campaign as a group felt very different. Like, these house rules are things that we brainstormed about at 3 a.m. Origins 2023.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Well, some of us were awake.
And yeah, and then we had some characters made then. Like, Bill's had his half-work dice since then, and, so we've definitely put a lot more thought into it. I think the keen listener could tell that Leland's put more prep into it, and the editing sounds great. Like, the fight episode with the metal music in the background and everything.
Granny Nanny's
Yeah, Granny Nanny, like,
or
the
what's it
effects
called?
and music is made for headphones. Yeah, her walker.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
screeching and
Yeah, definitely. Best headphone experience for sure.
We practiced together. April this past year, we practiced playing our characters together, and we played some one-shots. Like, we've approached Campaign 2 very, like, seriously different, I think. As compared to learning. Like, we didn't know. So, learning was part of that process of Campaign 1.
Get some experience under your belt over the years, right?
The biggest contrast would be like comparing the first 6 episodes of Campaign 2 versus the first 6 episodes of Campaign 1, for sure.
And we want it to sound polished from the beginning.
Campaign 1 changed a lot from when we first started to toward the end, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think chapter 3 of Aspara is, obviously far more reflective of how Stormcape sounds as well, right? It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
again, we've slight, subtle things that are changing, but yeah, I agree, Elena. Like, we've had countless, like, what you would call a session zeros, basically, about this campaign, right? I mean, most of them in person too, which is fun.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm saying there, like, no beat was skipped when I was like, okay, so do we have shutters? How do the windows open? You're like, nope, they go up and down. Like, and it prep for what we're doing. And it's appreciated. Like, as a player, it just feels that more dire instead of like, do the windows open in or out or up or down or, Like, you freaking had an answer, and I was, like, surprised in a good way. Like, I don't know. Like, they don't have an emergency yet,
A fire escape or a balcony.
fire escape to, like, climb up. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a
Stuff like
house,
that.
though. It's a house. Do you have a fire escape on your house?
If it's 3 stories, yeah, you have to. You have to legally. Yeah.
What? Well, is it count as being 3 stories if it's just an attic?
Maybe not.
Not in the
But
den.
you should
it
have a
doesn't.
ladder.
Yeah, not the dead
Anyway.
isn't.
Is our house 3 stories?
No. Here's just 2 stories.
Is it even 2
But,
stories though?
1.5.
Yeah.
Look, the building codes were different.
If
800
anyone's
years
in
ago when the city
architecture,
was
please get
founded.
back to it about the code in your
Yeah.
city.
The Denizen is an old district.
Being inside a large city is definitely very different from how the vibe that I got playing in Aspara, and I like it. I was initially a little bit like unsure of how that would be, but I'm really liking it.
I think the cool thing is you've got that anonymity because it's a big city. Like, if you go to New York, you may run into people and never run into them again your entire life, right?
Which is good, because they were pantsless on the subway.
That
You don't
maybe
need to
you're
run
into
into
that,
them.
maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe you're looking to run into them again. It doesn't really matter, but you could run into them again is the point. So that's what makes it sort of better than, when you got a map that's thousands of miles and you leave a city and you you travel, you pretty much know you're not going to run into anybody again, more than likely. But now it's always an option.
Unless her name is Isabella.
The way the question's worded is, like, has the second campaign been much different than the first? Or is playing it, another story, no big deal? I want to pose this to Leland, like, how is your prep different, being just, like, one city?
It's, like, obviously, like, way more concentrated. And if you are on the World Anvil page, like, clearly there's a ton of information that still is yet to be added because it's, like, a huge undertaking. And rather than trying to front load all of it at once, I've put quite a bit of on there, but there's probably like 70% more that I could fill in there. You know what I mean? Like,
there's so much on there already. Yeah.
Right, and eventually, like, the plan, of course, is to be but what I've really adopted is more kind of preparing what I think is immediately ahead. Now, obviously, there's a foundation you lay on whenever you're creating any type of world or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think my prep method hasn't really changed all that much. And I've said before in numerous Aspara after parties is the great thing about Aspara was once it was all down, it was so easy to ad-lib what was going on. Now, I think that maybe that becomes a little more difficult in this more confined area. Like, yeah, it's a large city, but I don't think it's like super large. One thing Bill Ben was asking was trying to get an idea of the scope of the city. And on our map in World Anvil, it does have a legend. Every square is 200 feet. And he kind of asked how long would it take to walk from Tomothy's Terrace Way, which is one of the city gates, all the way up to the Leaders Forum, which is all up in the Plateau District, which is, the ritzy part, right? And I counted out, and it would probably take like an hour and a half to walk. Faster by wagon, obviously. If you could take a little Lehand's carriage services, you would get there a little faster.
Under construction, soon TM.
Yeah, right. But that's obviously because you have to go up. There's like a cliff that switchbacks that can all go all the way. And if you can afford to take the lift that gets you up to the plateau, which is very expensive and meant for more people with more means, it would take you obviously a shorter distance. But
is there a fast pass or, like a yearly discount if you live up there?
No, there's no Nexus pass or anything like that.
Okay. So you walk like 20 minutes a mile. So
how big is this lift? Like, if you got a carriage full of stuff, can you bring your carriage on a lift?
Yeah,
or
it's
is
definitely
like a person lift?
for people. It's like a sea to sky gondola type thing.
Yeah, the horses have to go along the switchbacks. Yeah,
exactly. So all the supplies need to go up there. So. It took you, like, you went from the Denizen down to the very southern bottom of the borough in less than an hour, right? It was like 20, 30 minutes maybe. And you were like looking around for somebody too. So you can move about the city like fairly quickly. Generally, you'll stick to the main roads. They're going to be the fastest way, obviously. But if you were cutting through districts, maybe you could shave some time if you knew it very well. So I just don't feel like the city is like huge. I almost feel like it's too small, but I guess we'll see as we get into more of it.
Do you have many NPCs prepared, or is that just an ad-lib thing? Once you kind of know there's a tavern there, you'll just make someone up on the spot. How do you do that? Because there's going to be a lot more NPCs potentially in the city, or you think it won't change that much?
No, I think you're right. I think there's going to be like way more.
More interaction, right?
Yes, way more interaction, yeah.
We don't necessarily ask names very much, I noticed. Like, as I was introducing myself, she introduced the neighbor complaining of the noise.
Alka?
Introduced herself. Alka, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Opal. She's like, I'm Alka. I was like, wow, we never really kind of cared.
Well, maybe you'll have to start.
Still kind of don't.
Obviously, the major players are all created, but yeah, when it comes to the nitty gritty, like, every bar doesn't have, I don't know the bartender's name of every bar, right?
They're all named Tender.
They're all named Tender, yeah.
Tender.
So what do you guys think happened on Founders Day? Do you have any theories about what's going on?
There were some explosions, that's for sure.
Very good, Bill.
Thank you.
The founders are sort of not really in charge, is what I've sort of felt about the whole thing, but they are sort of a symbol of the city, and they were somebody's trying to eliminate them for some reason or another. Enough where they had this either creature or some kind of a monster that can rip off its head and take the place of, put other heads on. It's somebody of some power in the city or some magical means of some kind. So it's not, just the local guys trying to take some people out. This is a bigger thing.
I don't think it was the peaceable protesters. Peaceable?
No?
No.
I think it was people that were pretending to be them.
Yeah.
Kind of like we're pretending to be them. Well, we weren't saying we were pretending to be them, but the bomb was like, oh, well, there's other bombs going off. But then we ended up being like, Zomo, toggles and sprockets.
I think that was just bad decisions on our part to use bombs after the bombs were already let off.
Okay. Yeah, I mean.
Right.
Yeah, it did quickly become bomb heavy, and I didn't mean for it to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
We all
the
kind
bomb
of just
campaign.
had no idea.
If the founders are basically just for show, they don't really have any power, why take them out? Why is it important to get rid of them?
We don't know.
And the one who we were nearby, that person is the last of their line, right?
But it wasn't even him. It was a fake guy because the real guys either knew it was going to happen or had no desire to be in a parade and it just sloughed it off on somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me wonder, hey, did he maybe have a bit of a heads up that someone's out to get him?
Or a threat. Yeah, some sort of threat.
Or just didn't want to be in the parade and paid somebody else to do it.
Yeah, we don't really... It could be anything. We don't know him from Tim,
Would there
You don't know your Tim from a hole in the ground.
He could just be a stoner off sitting in a building somewhere. We don't know.
what would be the potential benefit of wiping out an entire remainder of a founder's line?
Yeah, were they specifically trying to get Ike? Because that was the only place where the monster was.
Kind of seemed, yeah. I mean, there were explosions in the other places.
Were they decoys?
Well, yeah, I don't know. There was only one monster from what we can tell, so...
It was on the floats, right?
It was all the floats, but were the other bombs just to throw off, making it look like they were after all the founders when they were really only after the one?
Yeah, so chaos so that the monster could do his thing with less interference.
So I think the answer to your question, Leland, is we don't have enough information yet to
Yeah,
make
we don't.
intelligent assessment.
We can speculate.
At this point, you don't really have access to gain more information. It's not like you... I mean, you could try to go to the Plateau district and try to talk to the founders, I guess, if you really felt the need to. But
I'm sure Ike would love to have some strangers coming to visit and talk to him about what happened.
Again, we are not currently known to be adventurers. We are all sort of starting to dabble in helping the community around us.
Being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
We need some time to cook before the founders would even care. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, how involved are you going to get into something like this? I think is sort of... I think we're slowly dipping our feet into the pool, and suddenly we're going to go under.
Opal would love it. She would like to think of herself as like an adventurer already, but it's not, her hero. But man, okay, I'm just going to quick mention this. I forgot that Opal hates blood, and in that last fight, I didn't make any blood comments. I'm sorry, listener. I will do better. I wasn't super close up with anyone, that's
really.
for sure.
Yeah.
But still, I would have probably gagged at the sight of Kylea with 4 hit points.
Maybe, but that reminds me, though, like when Opal, you wanted to throw a potion to Kylea.
It would have been risky, though.
No, but I didn't clue in to it being your free potion every day.
Yeah, my elixir.
Yeah, your elixir isn't in a glass container, right? It's in the container your aunt gave you. So that, like made of metal with the stone, like that you could throw freely. And at the time, I didn't like, oh, of course it's going to be your elixir you're throwing. I was thinking, oh, like a normal health potion. So that one, yeah, in the future, if that specifically is what you're throwing, I mean, it's a metal, it's like a flask basically, right? You can huck that, sure. It's not going to shatter, even if you don't quite, even if Kylea doesn't catch it.
Yeah, Bill and I were talking about it off mic too, and I was like, yeah, I have a healing potion a day per se, but if we don't use it, it's just the same one. They don't like stack up and up and up, and like experimental elixirs don't stack and add up, and you don't like throw them in storage.
I mean, if you don't use it the next day, like you can change what it is, right? Obviously.
Yeah, we've default set it to be healing just because we also set potions house rule to be max healing. And then yeah, I don't know, we'll see what happens. I think Opal needs to do what Mia didn't, and she needs to heal people. Because how else are we gonna fight if Hellcruck manages to get hit? Or not Hellcruck, sorry, Rumpke. You're hard to hit. You had a crit to hit Rumpke.
It's crazy hard to hit.
That's the first time anybody's made the mistake between me and Hellcruck.
Sorry, I said the wrong name.
Yeah, come on, Elena.
Sorry, I said the wrong name. But the other thing was like, so like all this artificer stuff's so new to me. We've kind of figured out a few things, but I could like enchant weapons. And it's like, you two don't use freaking weapons, use your fists. So
Well, right now, we just got some weapons, so
Yeah, well, true. Hellcruck's able to use a weapon that he's proficient with, right? And still, as long as it's a one-handed weapon, and still unarmed strike. There's nothing stopping Hellcruck from. I don't know how Rumpke's stuff works.
I can't have a weapon.
So there's nothing stopping Hellcruck from like wielding a short sword, or as long as again it's classified as a monk weapon, and there's a specific types that would be considered to be monk weapons. But just putting that out there, just in case that might.
yeah,
change.
we got to take a look at the magical stuff we got and figure out what to do with it. It was an info dump.
It was an info dump. Yeah, there was a lot of info. So you all can decide what you want, if you want to keep them, if you want to try to sell them. I mean, think of the source of them. If you go and try to sell them, you're not quite sure where they originated from, too. So keep that in mind.
No, the one with spell slots makes sense. Like, I'm the only one with Warlock will, if you take more Warlock, get more spell slots. But there's one where you get basically a second level spell for free at this point. I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
I forget what item it was. And the boots, too, because, man, I move so slow. Do you move slow, too, Rumpke? What's your movement speed?
It's 25.
Yeah, mine, too.
But I am taking a feat mobile.
Ah, what does it go to?
I'll be able to go to 35, and under certain situations, and not provoke opportunity attacks. So
I like that.
Rumpke's pretty hard to hit as it is, as long as he's not wearing armor or using a weapon. So being able to disengage that last fight where I was surrounded made me start thinking, a good boxer's going to try to get out of the middle of the fray, right?
Get off the ropes. Yeah.
Yeah, Leland's letting us take ability scores and feats.
Yeah, you all are getting basically a free feat now that you've all gotten to some combination of level 4 after those fights. Because we started at 3 at the beginning of the campaign.
I've always been really, really torn between taking an ability score increase and a feat whenever I level up, and that is nice to not have to choose. That's pretty exciting.
I think I know the role I should fill as the Bloodiverse gnome I am. Someone's got to keep you guys on your feet.
Kylea did take another level of Warlock, so she is now 2 Rogue, 2 Warlock.
Cool.
Technically, Opal casts spells through her focus of her Artificer's kit. So, like, in the flavor, I was like, she points her finger. I guess in my finger is my
You're holding your
spoon.
tools. Yeah, or whatever it is.
My pestle.
So I did get 2 Eldritch Invocations. I took Devil's Sight and Misty Visions. Devil's Sight I can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, up to 120 feet. And Misty Visions I can cast Silent Image at will without expending a spell slot or material components. So I could make an illusionary, that too, image of something.
And how much noise does it make?
None. It can't. It's just illusionary.
It depends how far deep your delusion's going there, Bill.
Oh, we don't all see things? Oh, okay.
You will now.
No wonder Opal's so cheery all the time. She's like constantly seeing bouts of color bursting all around
I have
here.
friends everywhere.
I mean, we like basically just finished, so I don't think all of you are quite leveled, but
No, I'm excited to pick a feat, but I don't know which one. I'm not multi-classing at this point anyway, so I'm definitely gonna take another level of monk, but I don't know what feat I'm gonna choose yet.
I chose the feat, and I am multi-classing, which is something I typically don't do. Multi-classing by more for the character than for abilities and such. So it's not a max min type of thing. This is more of
Flavor.
Yeah, more flavor. Rumpke's getting some flashbacks. Some things are happening, so some things might be starting to shift in his abilities.
He's gonna be a necromancy wizard.
You saw right through the veil, didn't you?
Bring back things from the past.
oh, so that's what his vision was. He was just collecting corpses.
That's right.
Are you allowed to tell us what the dip you're taking is, or are you keeping it secret for now?
I think I'm going to let it come out as we play the next few episodes. Actually, Hellcruck may find out before anybody else.
Okay.
Spinach artichoke? Nacho?
It's a good one.
Cheese?
That's not a class, but...
Salsa?
It's a dip.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That one went right over my head there for a second.
Same. I had no idea.
Sorry.
I was right there with you, Elena. I got it.
That's funny. Oh, you know what? Speaking of house rules again, I want to touch on the non-lethal takedown stuff. I mean, we all agree that not killing someone still leaves a loose end, basically. But I thought to propose to you all kind of a new house rule. Look at that, a growing list.
Oh.
Would you like to, unless of course it's an attack of which you cannot non-lethal somebody, but do you want to go under the assumption that you are non-lethaling people?
Yes.
Okay, so yes. But in addition, if you are dealing with ranged attacks or magic, that kind of handicaps Opal and Kylea a bit, right?
Yeah.
When you put someone down with a lethal attack, we can basically treat them as if they're like a PC and they go into death saving throws unless they're outright killed through damage. Now, it doesn't need to be the full 3, but it can give you your characters maybe a round or 2 to potentially have to we got to stabilize this guy so he doesn't die while the fight's going on.
I like that. Yeah.
I like it a lot, yeah. That adds a whole nother layer.
I'm always correcting myself when I'm playing D&D to remind myself that that's not how it works when you're attacking someone.
As the DM, I decide when it's convenient for my NPCs for that to work that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
This guy can't just outright die. He's choking to death on his own blood, but he's okay so far.
We're just going to take a few fingers off Dreg, Okay.
Oh, poor Dreg.
Oh.
Maybe this may not end up being the way that we are all the time moving forward, but I don't know. I worry that if we just play like we did in Aspara and just kill all of the people we come up against, that's going to eventually cause some problems for us around the city.
I like the default not kill, unless we specifically say we want to kill.
Yes.
Yeah, there are probably going to be some people who are going to want to kill.
There's going to be some people that are going to need to be killed.
Yeah.
Or poison very slowly. Study them, know their ins and outs, find their favorite coffee place,
Yeah.
know their usual order, that
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of thing.
Definitely.
Befriend
yes.
the barista, so she'll help you
Yeah.
slip some things in.
Easy.
I think you have to do the 3 death saves just in case you roll a 1.
We don't have to be known to be the ones that kill people.
Well, that is the other side of it too. If you're better at covering up your tracks rather than going to the neighbor that you saw complaining and introducing yourselves. I'll tell you. I'll tell you though, you should stay tuned and keep your eye on that Dear Dorothy advice column in the Storm's Herald, because I bet Alka's going to be writing in and having a follow up on her complaint she put in there.
She's gonna say thank you so much.
She might be thanking a few of you by name if she has a chance to.
Oh no, we're in the newspaper.
Yeah, for those that are on the World Anvil and had a chance to look at some of the finer details that weren't quite quite read out to the party. As you know, I read out the headline of the latest Storm's Herald issue, but there's some other information that I'll be putting in those issues. Again, they're going to come out bi-weekly in game. So in the game's timeline, they're going to come out every 2 weeks.
I friggin' love that you're publishing local newspapers. That's amazing. That's such a good touch.
Yeah, there's the Us Weekly and the Times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's the
What's 5-6 pages at least?
oh boy.
Attempted assassination of the founders.
No,
Too
but
soon?
it's a fun little bit of lore drop there. It can be as much or as little as the time, whatever suits the moment, right? But I'm looking forward to reading whatever gets put in there and looking for clues.
Exactly. There will be information in there that potentially can reward your character for having read it. Absolutely. And then obviously that rewards you as a player. So I would suggest as players, assuming your character would keep up to date with something like that. Yeah, you should probably maybe read that a few times.
All right. Maybe I don't read it, but over breakfast my parents tell me about it.
There you go. You get the highlights.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, classic.
That's believable.
And in case anybody's wondering, World Anvil is free. You can just go sign up to get in and see everything that we put on there.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You have to get an account, I believe, but it doesn't cost anything to get an account to be able to see it.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I think the paid accounts are only if you want to have more ability to create worlds and like use it to play a campaign sort of thing.
Throw your junk email in there. No worries. Read the gossip.
Pretty cool.
next.
It's a pretty cool website actually. I'm glad we're using it.
I mean, it's really the biggest change between campaigns is just us utilizing something like this. It kind of puts information. I mean, obviously in an ideal world, when we're playing and if I mention something, you'll be able to go to this homepage even as we're playing. Literally type in the search bar at the top of the World Anvil homepage for Senta and just search like, oh, the Storm's Herald. Like literally if you type in the Storm's Herald, it'll come up with the article about the newspaper outfit and it'll have a link to all the actual newspapers that have been put out on it, right?
I don't read the Herald. I read the what is it? The badge. What is it? The
middling machination.
Yeah.
middling machination. That's the only one that Rumpke believes in.
Well, you read it. I was just reading that one too because
aliens are behind all this.
Yeah. Aliens and lizards.
Don't make alien jokes. We just got rid of the Nyogi. All right.
Oh no, the Yogi landed in Stormcape too.
Too soon.
Oh man. So that's what that big meteor thing that
Explosion.
Oh, the
was.
Skyquake event. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no.
19 years ago, it happened too.
Oh my goodness.
Mia.
It was all right there. How did we miss it?
Boy, really got to try hard not to repeat myself.
Yeah.
Leland's a bit of a one-trick pony.
False. We didn't meet a portly woman that deceived us. We just met a granny nanny that will deceive
Who
us.
told you the truth?
Sure.
I swear, she's telling
No,
you the truth.
I don't know. Never trust nanny.
She's got a mouth full of teeth this whole time.
NTN, never trust nanny.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping Hellcrock will talk to Lehan and get a bunch of the kids aging out to hire it on at the carriage services.
Yeah, honestly, I think Hellcrook thinks that that's a very good thing for young boys and girls who are, coming of age to start working to do. It's good labor. It's good for them. Keeps them out of trouble.
You should go talk to them, offer them some money. They can get a little horse tattoo when they go out.
Actually, we don't do tattoos. We do branding.
Oh, even better.
That does make sense.
I mean, if you want to switch to tattoos, I got a kit. I know a guy.
No, man, now I picture in downtime Opal is like practicing giving all her siblings tattoos to get better with the tattoo kit.
The key is that I need to develop a poisonous ink and
Oh,
ink my enemies.
that is devious. Oh no.
Radioactive ink. Yeah.
Wow.
Now it's time for you to infiltrate the Trinity, become a higher up, to be the one handing out
To be the
tattoos to
tattoo.
Trinity members.
Oh, man. Little do I know the radiation doesn't kill them. They actually get superpowers.
They
It
become
turns into
gamma
a whole
irradiated,
thing.
yes. Then you got more giants with no heads running around because of Opal's crazy tattoos.
For real, Opal, like that abandoned building, like Opal's like inspired. I wrote into her backstory that she's definitely like a collector, like nothing should go to waste. Someone's trash is another person's treasure. So like those abandoned buildings, the tattoo kit, it all sort of...
You should keep your eye on the classifieds in case there's any for sale properties in the Denizen.
I think I could just squat there.
Well,
honestly.
you could do that too.
So I think I might just take up my own little hideout, I guess. If anyone else wants to join me.
I mean,
might beat sleeping in the stables.
How long have you been sleeping in the
Maybe.
stables is another question. He's like, you're my heir. Now go back to bed in the stables.
You'd be surprised how comfortable you can make straw and hay if you learn to weave it together properly.
I would be surprised. I would be very surprised.
You can have your own floor. You just might have a hole in it.
yeah, the one building
A
has a hole
whole
in the roof.
floor to yourself. Dum-tsh.
A Hellcrux-sized hole in the roof.
Yeah.
I would miss story night with Frank.
You can stay with Frank.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're pretty
Yeah.
close to us if we were to move into the den, one of those buildings.
Yeah, I'd come visit.
Well done, everybody. Yeah, no, this was the best 2 batches of 3 episodes ever.
First
Yep.
as well.
Agreed.
The first 2 batches of 3 episodes.
First 3 were the best, then the second 3 were the best, and they're collectively the best.
They were fun. Honestly, that combat in episode 5 and 6 was really fun. I had a really fun time running that combat. I thought it was really
I can't
cool.
believe that prick had the audacity to blast me out of the window that I just jumped through.
Rumpke had some great rolls, great ability checks throughout that combat. Persuading Chip not to tie you up. I mean, Rumpke could have been tied to that chair just being beat on for most of that
That would've been
combat. You
bad.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit, if they had tied you up, Chip was going to blast you out of the window on the chair. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh no.
like there's so good rolls you pull off for a few of those checks.
I was hot that night for sure. There was a few bad ones.
There was a point where I was like, yeah, let's just throw the bomb. And then, like, yeah, the next time you hear me, I'm like, yeah, we don't want to kill him. It was more like, I forgot we're not trying to kill them.
I was so worried when I was like, just get back to my turn so I could try to talk to him before you guys, throw a bomb into
Okay,
the room.
well, at my little workshop, my little workbench, we're gonna either create some garter belts if you want, an armband, or maybe even just as simple as a necklace that you wear underneath your clothes. But let's be touching our stones at all times, people.
Yeah.
I'm always touching my stones.
Sending Stone's like one of those voice boxes for, people who have like throat issues that they talk through.
Yes, when you have
Yeah.
a laryngectomy.
That's what you're just
When
putting
your
these
larynx is
stones
gone.
up to your throw the bomb, throw it.
I'll make yeah, we'll all have chokers with a stone on it.
What are we gonna do, Brick?
What are we gonna do, Britt? And he's like, so you said it, but let me just clarify.
why are
You
you
need to use
doing
your...
that?
I was in the middle of the grocery store hearing that while I grocery shopped, and I was dying. I was like, he didn't use his stuff.
It's hard to have your hands up and
I mean, Leland
in
really
the
wanted
chair.
us to use the stone because it's our action. So
Well, that's the only saving grace of making these uber sending stones is if you're trying to use them in combat. That's the only part I have to rein them in. That's it.
did you
Yeah,
say,
they're already
Kylie?
pretty powerful.
Well, whatever you want in downtime, Opal will string it up on a little leather strap for you, however you want it.
That honestly, those would be something very easy for Opal to create. Like she could make those in a couple hours, right? If it's literally something as simple as a leather strap.
Made a
that
few
holds
necklaces in my day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Garter belts, not really, but let's go for it.
Well, you got to add some lace to a garter belt, so it's a little more intricate.
And,
Oh my.
technically, the arm would be less of a circumference than a thigh, but whatever you want.
Unless it's Rumpke's.
Yeah, true.
You got bigger thighs than you do arms?
they're
Opposite?
Equal.
Bigger arms than you do?
They're
Okay.
equal.
exactly the same.
And your neck is even bigger, so
Yeah, so definitely don't make a necklace.
your neck is shoulder to shoulder. Got that linebacker neck.
Well, I hope everybody likes the new characters as much as the old ones. We're really enjoying playing them. But if you do, or if you don't, tell us. Leave us some feedback and let us know what you think.
We're not
It'd be good to
changing our
hear
voices.
from people. No, I'm not changing my voice.
Yeah, it's too late now.
Yeah, our characters are tops.
But yeah, no. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. All of it is good for us to hear.
If enough Lelanders, if you want to join our Discord, and you can just DM me if you don't like a specific character. If I get enough DMs for that character, I'll just kill them off. So you will be fine. The player won't even know. It's okay.
You make it sound so easy, but I had a squishy wizard that lasted for how many years? Come on.
Yeah, but I got
Cockroach.
him.
He had a
I
squishy
got him,
cockroach.
technically.
Despite all the emails.
Yeah. The listeners hated him, but he just stuck around anyway.
All right, let's wrap this puppy up. Do the old standard.
All right.
I've been John and Rumkey.
I've been Emily and Kylia and Seychelles.
I was really expecting you to be like, and say Shadow. All right, I'm Alana. I play Mia. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Old habits die hard.
Oh, I legit didn't mean to do that. I'm Elena. I play Opal. I play Opal.
I've been Bill and Hellcruck. I almost said Rumpke again. My goodness. I keep calling myself Rumpke. I've done it like a dozen times now.
And then I called Rumkey Elkirk.
The listener probably didn't get the joke earlier about us making fun of Elena for saying the wrong name, but
Because I called
yeah,
him Hellcrook. Yeah.
I like to call myself
I'm
Rumpke
Elena. I
for
play
some
Mia.
reason.
That was just auto correct. All right, sorry.
It's a catchy name. Can't blame you.
And I'm Leland Steele. Happy adventuring. Gotta get that up.
It's actually happy adventuring. He goes, happy adventuring. Like, it's like Eeyore.
Good job. This has been a Sounds of Steel production.